I grew up knowing that I was deaf, but not considering myself disabled at all. I had complete access in my house. My household growing up, we all signed, and my family's deaf. So both my parents are deaf, and my two older sisters are also deaf. So it was the five of us. And the household was a sign language household. We all used Maritime Sign Language growing up. I spelled my first word when I was 2. And then the second word that I learned how to spell was my own name, which is Bev. And then I went to Gallaudet University at 16 years old. And then I started noticing that I did sign differently than other people there. They would look at me and sometimes not understand or had never seen some of the signs that I was using before. So gradually I did shift there to what they were using. I mean, some people did make fun of me for the language that I was using from my home language, but it was just a little bit different. So Maritime Sign Language is heavily influenced, heavily borrowed from a British Sign Language at the time, about 80% borrowed from British Sign Language. So, for example, their spelling would be different than American Sign Language. It would be the two-handed manual sign language that they use in Britain, which is different than the American Sign Language one-handed version that you might see. The teachers who worked for the Halifax School of the Deaf were approaching their retirement age. They were the ones who used Maritime Sign Language. So with less and less of those teachers, and then when the school moved to Amherst, there was new teachers, and these teachers came with American Sign Language. So you can pinpoint that shift right there with the change in schools. I should say that there's less than 100 people in Nova Scotia right now who use Maritime Sign Language. The language is endangered. So when I came back home, I was very happy to see that MSL is still here. You can still see it creeping into people's vocabulary. And it feels like coming home, not only coming home to my home province, but coming home to my home language as well. And then I stayed and lived in the States for 42 years, and now I'm back home, which was in September when I was offered this job here at NSCC as the program manager for the ASL Studies and the ASL English Interpretation Program. I am the first deaf manager at this level, I think nationwide. A deaf lens is really key for this work. If we want the programs to be successful, we need to have a deaf lens, thinking about my lived experience, thinking about what the interpreters will need in the world, and really have that connection to the deaf community ingrained in the role is really, really important. Knowing the deaf way of life, just knowing things that are intrinsic to how we are in the world, the importance of touch, the importance of attention-getting behaviors that are unique to deaf cultures, the importance of lighting, that sort of thing that students will be able to learn. If I think about women who grew up in agricultural societies, who stayed at home, who made hamburger, they have a specific sign for hamburger in MSL, which is like this. And long ago, if you think about meat grinders that they would clamp onto a table and operate in this way, the MSL sign evokes the meat grinder that was used, the women doing the work, that sort of thing. Today, you won't see that sign anymore. The sign for hamburger in ASL is a completely different sign. So those stories are lost. Yeah, I have about 20 videos that are edited and ready to be studied. So with those videos, and those are videos I should mention that are authentic signers. So we can use clips of their vocabulary embedded in the curriculum to identify the vocabulary, and then later add the context of each specific vocabulary. So students would take those videos, watch them, learn the signs from them, and then learn MSL from that. The students are very curious about MSL and very motivated learners as well. I'm hoping for a semester-long course in MSL, if we can. And then thinking about how that will help the community as well with that revitalization work.